We'd like to thank you all for coming out tonight. Pleasure to have you here. This is the November program presented by Barlow and Barlow CPAs with a lot of help from the library board and the Friends of the Library. We'll ask Donald Richter to come up and open our program with prayer.
Our Father in heaven, we come before you in prayer at the beginning of this program. Grateful for the opportunity that we have to gather together. Grateful for the efforts and talents of those who have made this program possible for us this evening. We pray that your Spirit will be here with us. Pray that you will bless those who perform, that they might do so in a manner satisfying to them and pleasing in your sight. We are grateful for the opportunity that we have to live in this day and age. Grateful for the community that you have provided here for us to live in and rear our families in. And especially we are grateful for the blessings of the gospel in our lives and for the life and teachings and example of your servant Uncle Roland. We pray for your choicest blessings to be with him. We pray that you will help us to live lives of integrity and faithfulness, that we might be able to bring about your purposes in the earth and the establishment of your kingdom. We acknowledge your hand in all of the blessings and opportunities in our lives, and we pray in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
This is a program about books and reading. But since this is Thanksgiving time, we want to recognize those who have made it possible for us to be here tonight. Particularly Uncle Roy. This is very close to the 5th anniversary of his passing. We also want to acknowledge, and we're very thankful to have Uncle Rulin here and Uncle Fred. We appreciate their attendance. If you'll refer to the back of your program, then our November group will sing our first song, Thankfulness. This song was written and composed by Kathy Jessup.
Thanks to the Lord of all men.
You can see that your program is organized according to a numbering system from 000 to 900. This is the general outline of the Dewey Decimal Classification System. The Dewey Classification System is used in virtually all of the public libraries in the United States. And we will be using this system to organize our collection when we open our new library in the old Short Creek School next summer. In the General Works section, Virginia Roundy will introduce us to the world of books.
What is not a cover vest but stitched in every fold? What is not a treasure chest and still is filled with gold? What can take you on a trip to places free and far? Although 'tis not a train or ship, a plane or ship, a bike, a train or car. What though not a tree is strung with leaves on which to look? What has neither voice nor tongue and yet can speak? A book.
Aunt Gwen is the author of a poem which introduces us to Mr. Dewey.
The Book Nooks by Aunt Gwen Johnson. Pa and Ma Skittle came in from the flats, and with them brought Harry, June, Jezzy, and Fats. And also came Abner, Sophia, and Zeke, with little Zuelda, too frightened to speak. They came seeking knowledge and knew where to look, for within the new library was many a book. They studied the system of decimal named Dewey and hoped it would give them some kind of a cluey. For Pa wanted fix-it books, both big and small, and Ma sought to learn the right protocol. Harry yearned to invest in a government mule, and Fats came to study his homework for school. Now blonde, pretty Jezzy, her name Jezebel, wanted to find out about William Tell. Abner chose history, while Zeke wanted sports. Sophia and June searched for King Arthur courts, and little Zuelda, too frightened to speak, toward the children's section managed to sneak. They sought the librarian and asked her to show where each of the Skittles to their interests could go. She said, "Since you're asking for an overall viewee, I'll introduce you to the system named Dewey. Our library's set up in a number of 10, with hundreds for sections. Each one is a friend. Philosophy 100 is books on one's mind and thoughts, the question, who am I, designed. "200 religion is Who Made Me? Bible stories and genealogy. 300 is social. Who's that in the cave? Who governed him? Was he free or a slave? Did his customs and holidays affect ecology? His folk tales are found in sociology. If you wonder about language, in 400 seek. There you'll find the language to help you to speak. For young Zeke and Fats, with their homework for school, they'll study in science the 500 rule. Here they'll learn how things happen in the world and Mars, while they study insects, flowers, seashells, and stars. And if you are interested in cars, ships, and planes, inventions, engineering, or pets, food, and games, you can find applied science in the 600 section. You'll enjoy being there if that's your affection. If your interests are music, theater, or sports, Arts and Recreation 700 hold books of all sorts. Great thoughts and deeds in the 800 section name literature, poetry, plays, and all fiction. "900 history tells what people have done in biographies, geographies, battles are won. General works and the reference book section, please don't overlook. You'll find all your interests in some kind of book. So Pa and Ma Skittle, along with the others, searched long and thoroughly. The sisters and brothers went home delighted with arms full of books, glad to discover those 10 special nooks.
Kathy Jessup wrote the lyrics and music to that song. Now I will introduce you to the philosophy section, where we'll talk about what kind of a person not to be. Joshua Barlow will tell us about goops.
Goops, they lick their fingers. Ew. Goops, they lick their knives. They spill their broth on the tablecloth. Oh, they lead disgusting lives. Goops, they talk while eating. Loud and fast they chew. Then why, I'm glad I'm not a goop, are you? Goops wet their fingers each time they turn a page. You quickly wrinkle it or tear. Why don't they act their age? Goops that eat while reading, they glop and stain their books. Can always recognize a goop's books by their looks. Goops use books for bases when they're outside playing ball, or snagged on them when cookies are on a shelf too tall. And if or when books are returned, they're such a frightful mess. Are we all glad that we're not goops? No one needs to guess.
And now on a more serious note, Joseph I. Barlow Sr. will give us a dissertation on the majesty of books.
Someone has said that books are among life's most precious possessions. They are the most remarkable creation of man. Nothing else that man builds ever lasts. Monuments fall, civilizations perish, but books continue. The perusal of a great book is, as it were, an interview with the noblest men of past ages who have written it. Charles Kingsley said, "There's nothing more wonderful than a book. It may be a message to us from the dead, from human souls we never saw, who lived perhaps thousands of miles away, and yet these little sheets of paper speak to us, arouse us, teach us, open our hearts, and in turn open their hearts to us like brothers." It has been said that it's very difficult to think effectively until we have a language to think with. Language comes from a combination of ideas, and ideas are made up of words, which have a different intensity of emotion, and a different degree of meaning, and a different brightness of color. Words are the smallest units of language which have meaning within themselves. Like people, words come in both high and low rank and have different degrees of integrity and intensity. And then some great soul may put the best of these lofty words together into stimulating ideas to make a great book, which may be the marvel of creation. The foundations of civilization itself are laid with words, and they underlie every activity in life. They are the indicators of our humanity, the measurement of our ability, and the tools of our success. Words convey affections, give expression to prayers, vitalize our ambitions, and record our progress. Our standards of living, our mastery of science, the quality of our faith, and the effectiveness of our know-how all come about because of our ability to get ideas over. In Alan J. Lerner's play, My Fair Lady, Professor Higgins says, "Think what you're dealing with. the majesty and the grandeur of the English language. It's the greatest possession we have. The noblest sentiments that ever flowered in the hearts of men are contained in its extraordinary, imaginative, and musical mixture of sounds. One of the very lofty words in our language is the word majesty. We use this word in referring to the grandeur of the mountains, the greatness of kingship, the nobility of great expression. It is the quality or state of mind that inspires reverence. It carries with it an attitude of imposing stateliness. It is also an elevation of manner or style as it appears in great human beings. The dictionary says that majesty stands for the dignity, authority, or power of a sovereign. Your Majesty is a term of address or acknowledgement of the highest dignity, rank, and power in human life. And it is sometimes used to represent the supreme authority and glory of God. If we were going to try to identify this great word majesty, we might think first of the majesty of God. Second, of the majesty of a great human being, living at his best. And third, of something inspiring, like the majesty and glory contained in a great book, which, if properly used, may create us in its own image. One of the marvels of our world is that the words and attitudes and enthusiasms of God Himself may be transformed and preserved and presented on the pages of a great book, through which we may be born again as many times as we like. When we hear great ideas spoken, they are only retained in some fragment, and that which we do get withers away in time. But the great commandments of God, as they were written out of the fires of Sinai, have been retained in a book, so that they remain as fresh to us today as they were when they were first recorded. And by our reading and memorizing, they may become a part of us. That is, a great book may transfer its majestic traits to us as it creates us in its own image. We put our money in banks. We put our food in the storeroom. We put our clothing in the clothes closets. But God has put His own wisdom, His directions, His commandments in books. That is also where we may find preserved the best of great and majestic men and women. Books are storehouses of wisdom. They contain the inspiration of great literature, the inspiring music, the beautiful poems of the finest minds. And by the proper use of books, we may transfer the glory of God eternally into the lives of His children. Today, we don't have access merely to the books of the present day. We also have many great books containing the ideas and ideals which the greatest men in every field have written since time began. With our books, aided by a little imagination, we can go backward or forward across time, much as an aviator goes through space. We can go back to the very beginning of time and watch the creation of our earth take place. We can feel the unbroken darkness that covered the deep and feel what it must have been like when in the march of progress God first said, "Let there be light."
The next section is the religion section. In the 200 section, we'll find books on religion, and the children will introduce us to the religion section with, I think when I read that sweet story of old. In the 300 section, sociology, we find folklore. Oliver and his family will give us some Thanksgiving folklore and tell us about turkey parts. Into the air, it knocked every plate off the table and partly demolished a chair. It ricocheted into a corner and burst with a deafening boom and splattered all over the kitchen, completely obscuring the room. It blanketed every appliance. It smeared every saucer and bowl. There wasn't a thing I could do to stop it. That turkey was out of control. It stuck to the walls and the windows. It totally coated the floor, and there was turkey attached to the ceiling where there'd never been turkey before. Well, I scraped and I scrubbed with displeasure, and I thought with chagrin as I mopped that I'll never again stuff a turkey with popcorn that hasn't been popped.
I dreamed of a turkey with feathers for a tail, and when they tried to catch me, I used it for a sail. The one from I sailed above the barnyard fence and landed in a tree. The white fellows who coveted, blind plump and that to me.
You want Oliver to say yours?
Go, go, Miss Turkey. I can go too. As long as it's your day, I can go with you.
And now Jethro's family will introduce the language section with some more folklore. I want you to listen to every word, or else you'll miss the story.
En una casa situada en un bosque vive una niña con su madre y su padre. La niña se llama Caperucita Roja. Al otro lado del bosque vive su abuela. Un día la madre llama a la niña.
Caperucita Roja. Caperucita Roja.
Sí, mamá.
Caperucita Roja. Tu abuela está enferma. ¿Cómo esta es comida?
Sí, mamá.
Pero cuidado, hay un lobo en el bosque.
Bueno, mamá. Y la niña corre el bosque con la cesta.
Pajaritos a bailar cuando acabas de nacer, tu colita se mover, chip, 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 chip. Para un pajarito ser, este baile de bailar, y a todo el mundo alegrar, chip, 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 chip. Este que te mueve.
bosque el lobo está sentado al lado del camino. ¡Tengo hambre! Cuando el lobo vio a la niña. Buenos días, niña. ¿A dónde vas?
Voy a la casa de mi abuela con este censo de comida.
Sí, está entrando la abuela.
Sí,
¿A dónde vive la abuela?
mi abuela vive al otro lado del bosque.
Sí, buenos días. Y la niña va por el camino. El lobo corre por el bosque a la casa de la abuela. El lobo llama a la puerta de la casa.
¿Quién llama?
¡Soy yo! ¡Soy capaz de tronco! ¡Tengo una cesta de comida!
El lobo entra en la casa. La abuela está acostada en la cama.
¡Tengo hambre!
¡Ay! Tengo mucho miedo. Usted es el lobo.
Y la abuela corre por el bosque. El lobo se acuesta en la cama de la abuela. Caperucita Roja va a la casa y llama a la puerta.
Abuela,
¿Quién llama?
soy yo. Soy Caperucita Roja. Tengo una cesta de comida.
¡Entra!
La niña entra en la casa y el lobo se cubre con la ropa de la cama.
Buenos días, Caperucita Roja.
Aquí está la cesta de comida.
Gracias, Caperucita Roja.
Ay, abuela, estoy muy enferma.
Sí, niña.
Abuela, ¿por qué tiene usted los ojos tan grandes?
¡Hola, mi niña!
Abuela, ¿por qué tiene usted las orejas tan grandes?
Para oír a mi niña.
Abuela, ¿por qué tiene usted los dientes tan enormes?
Para comer a mi niña.
Ay, estoy de ese lobo. Tengo mucho miedo. ¡Socorro, socorro!
En ese momento, la abuela vuelve del bosque con el padre y su perro. El lobo corre por el bosque y nunca vuelve a la casa de la abuela.
Now, did you get all that? Dora Mae coordinated the dance, the bird dance, and myself and Timothy and Jethro and Edmund donated the little girls. In the natural science area, Sarah Jessup will give us a biology lesson with her poem, A Family is Like a Book. Sarah.
The family is like a book. The children are the leaves. The parents are the covers that protecting beauty gives. At first the pages of the book are blank and purely fair, but time soon writeth memories and printeth pictures there. Love is the little golden clasp that bindeth up the book. Oh, break it not, lest all the leaves should scatter and be lost.
Now for some more biology. We'll learn what kind of creatures you'll never find in a library. Sean, Ben, and Carl Jessup will tell us about the know-nothing Nebes.
We're know-nothing Nebes with nothing to say, and certain to say it without a delay. We're perfectly pompous and billably dense.
We have a semblance of sense.
We're know-nothing Nebes, complacent and proud. The things we don't know, we proclaim very loud. From summer to winter, from spring till fall, we daily display we know nothing at all. We're know-nothing Nebes, invincibly vain, distinguished by pates with no space for a brain. You cannot avoid us, we've never been rare. You look all around you, we're found everywhere. We're know-nothing Nebes, quite empty instead.
Other things that normally fill up ahead, that only has shadows in all of its nooks, for we can't be bothered with reading good books.
Before we leave the natural sciences, we'll find the geology section, which is significant to anyone who recognizes El Capitan or the Vermilion Cliffs. And I'd like to tell you a little story. One day my father and I were driving along in the car. We pulled up behind Uncle Fred as he was slowly traveling up Carling Street toward the cemetery. And Uncle Fred drove his Suburban up the street very slowly, and we followed him right up to the gates of the cemetery. And then he stopped and motioned us to get out of the car and come up and speak with him. We stepped up to the window of his Suburban and says, "What are you up to?" And Uncle Fred said, I'm visualizing a university. I'm visualizing a city." And we stood there and looked at the towering cliffs for a few moments. And then Uncle Fred said, "You know, I don't think we're the first people who were inspired by this sight." In conjunction with this, we'd like to have the high school chorus sing "My Hometown." And before they sing, they have a special presentation that they'd like to make to Uncle Rulin. In the technology or applied science section is where we'll find accounting. Jethro will give us a little technical history along with his history of Barlow & Barlow Certified Public Accountants. In reviewing the field of science and technology, I found a significant amount of information about evolution theories and the ancient histories related to the development of civilizations. I therefore decided to present the evolution of Barlow & Barlow. It all began in the prehistoric period. During the lower Paleolithic period, which began about 650,000 years BC and went until 170,000 years BC. Now you should understand that BC means BCCC, which means before coming to Colorado City. Now, during this prehistoric period, there was a scavenging economy, and many college students understand this foraging for food. I was living in the Bayou Club building in Salt Lake City, which had no facilities to speak of, and I was foraging for food at night at the nursing home, and once in a while I would take a long night shift and do my foraging through the refrigerators at the nursing home for my food. For the most part, the food had been cleaned up, and once in a while the Mexican cook we had there would leave a little intentionally for me, but the only real food to be found was in a special refrigerator that was downstairs, and it was marked diet food, and it was specially reserved for Aunt Alice and Aunt Naomi, and Aunt Boy and Aunt Valerie. And I decided that I had two choices. I was either going to go on a diet or starve to death. The next period is the Middle Paleolithic period, which began about 170,000 years BC and ran up until 35,000 years BC. During this period of time, there was a refinement of tools. Now, there are a few old accountants, like Uncle Clyde and Uncle Rulon and myself, that can remember these old posting machines. This was a machine that was as large as a console organ, and many different pieces of paper were entered all at once, and the keys were pressed, and the machine would grunge, and everything would be posted in the same amount to keep it in balance. And all the calculating was done with a comptometer, which was a mechanical calculator. And I invented a 44-column worksheet that spread out as far as I could reach in both directions so that all my accounts could stay in balance. And about this time, there was a refinement of tools, and electronic calculators were invented. The first truly portable electronic calculator that I purchased, I paid $360 for. And it had 4 functions in memory. That was it. But right now, you can get more calculating power in a credit card for subscribing to a magazine than we paid $360 for. This one even has percents and square roots on it. The next period of time was the Upper Paleolithic period, which was from 35,000 to 8,000 years BC. During this period of time, labor was very cheap and slave labor was common, because in order to be licensed as a certified public accountant, you had to work an apprenticeship. And since I had to work the apprenticeship, it wasn't necessary for me to be paid. Also, during the Upper Paleolithic period, we began to hunt in bands, and groups of us began to forage together. And I was joined by Oliver and Leslie, Boyd, Joan, Charlie, Cuman, Dwayne, Brian, and many more that joined our band and helped us do our foraging together. The next period was the Mesolithic period. It was 8,000 years BC. During this period of time, there was urbanization and specialization of labor.
So our foraging band began to divide up the work by specialties. And some of us were a little better in taxation, and some did bank recs a little faster than others, and some did write-ups. We separated our audit work and our MAS, which is Management Advisory Services. This was followed by the Copper Age, when we worked for pennies. And during this Copper Age, which was 4,500 to 3,000 years BC, we were also inventing war chariots and transport wagons, and we were commuting sometimes almost weekly to Salt Lake City. And there was a lot of traveling during this time, and we were covering a little more territory. At one period during this Copper Age, my father and I even engaged in flight training and started into our training as pilots. The Bronze Age, from 3,000 years BC to 1200 BC, was when we entered a trade and barter economy and began to do a little more business with other foraging bands. We entered trade clubs like Interchange and Barter System, BSI in Salt Lake, and we did a certain amount of bartering and swapping for work on our office and work on our homes and other things that we needed. This was followed by the Iron Age, which was from 1200 BC to 600 BC. We call this the first Dark Ages in the invasion of the barbaric tribes. Now this is a long story and for another time, but it was the end of the prehistoric period, and after the invasion of the barbaric tribes, we had a host of regulators descending upon us. Now this brings us to the meridian of time when the written history began. And we began to feel the Roman influence, which was from 509 BC until 476 AD, and included this important move to Colorado City in our hometown. AD stands for after domination, because during this period of time we got a host of new regulation like CPE, which is continuing professional education, peer review, simplification, and fairness, and all these legislation was descended on us during this period of time. The government decided that accountancy needed to be regulated, and they didn't know how to do it, and so they did it by separating an accountant's license from his certificate. So they invented two words. His certificate is what he got when he became a CPA, but his license was permission to hang his certificate on the wall. And so they didn't exactly want to take on this job of regulating all of the walls of all of the offices themselves, and so the Federal Trade Commission, which regulates accountancy, decided that an easy way to do this regulation was that they would institute a peer review program where everyone checks each other's walls to see if their certificates are properly hung. And they called this peer review, and they decided that the best way to do it was, rather than send out their own inspectors, they just passed a law that every accountant who was in public practice had to belong to a society which had a peer review program. That was easy for them, and it put the burden on us. Also during this period, they passed tax simplification. Now the tax simplification bill was about 2 feet high sitting on the table. It took a hand truck to carry it from one house of Congress to the other. And I think there were hundreds of people working on simplification, and I could have done better all alone. I know I could. But just in case you don't know what simplification means, taxes, our current tax system is given in 2 code words, which is simplification and fairness. Now simplification simply means more money for the government. So now you know what simplification means. And fairness means make the other guy pay. So this meridian of time included many changes for our profession. And then we entered into the Middle Ages, which was from the year 400 AD until 1500. And during this period of time, there was a breakdown of the central bands into smaller kingdoms. This happened mostly because of an introduction of technology and in-house accounting. Small computers and packaged accounting programs made it easy. So the large monolithic agencies became a lot smaller and broke up. There weren't any large computer hubs like there used to be, or as we used to send all of our key punching out to Computer Associates, we didn't do that anymore. We kept it in-house. The Middle Ages were followed by the Renaissance, which was from the year 1500 to 1750. And during this age of enlightenment, we went back to school, and even though I was licensed as a CPA, I went back to Southern Utah State College and received my bachelor's degree. And Oliver went back for an MBA and a teaching certificate. Stuart graduated with his Master's of Accountancy, and Stuart and Joan both passed the CPA exam. We also entered in this age of enlightenment into many civic projects, which included the seminary of Barlow University, Twin City Business Association, and I belonged on the Washington County School District Foundation for 3 years now, and of course the Community Library Project. The Industrial Revolution followed, which was 1750 to 1830, and during this period of time our organization went through changes of form. It began as a proprietorship under my license, and we changed that to a partnership when Oliver was certified. And now, recently, we have formed a professional corporation. The golden age was from 1830 until 1991. We recovered from the dark ages and enjoyed a little prosperity. During this period of time, we were working with companies that were involved in metal and minerals, and we also became involved with the Golden Circle companies, the Golden Circle Enterprises, Golden Circle Manor, Golden Circle West, Golden Circle Convenience Stores, Golden Circle Restaurant, Golden Circle Properties, all of these related companies. And we had so many Golden Circles. One time I walked into the restaurant in Hurricane, and John Chatwin said, "Oh, it's the Golden Child." I wasn't sure if that was a compliment or not. But the present and future in the age of expansion brings on new technology and mass production. We're now in new facilities. About 4 years ago, we were working in our office in the old store building, and the roof came down. With the rain and the water and the insulation and the sheetrock and everything came down on the desk. And we knew we had problems, but we kept on working and figured we'd repatch that back room. Well, another rainstorm came, and it had the audacity to leak through the roof, find an 8-foot fluorescent tube, run the full length of the tube, and drip right in my chair. That was the last straw. With the help of the Improvement Association, we put a new roof over that building and then tore the old roof down onto the floor and pitched it out the window. And then we've done some remodeling, and you're all welcome to stop by and see our new offices, which are much more comfortable than they were. Word processing, spreadsheet, databases, and package payroll accounting programs all make our work easier. In conclusion, our industry is changing, and we feel a conflict as being appointed as regulators to regulate ourselves and to regulate other accountants and to regulate businesses. And more, this role is being put upon us. We have a strong desire to help businesses do more than stay out of trouble with government agencies. We want to help our clients to be successful and productive. Thank you.
In the 700s section on arts and recreation is where you'll find books about music. Aunt Mill and Carol will present a cello-viola duet with accompaniment by Aunt Carol. They'll play That Wonderful Mother of Mine. third section, literature. We have reserved for our discussions about the library and the friends of the library. First, we'll have Shirley Jessup tell us about the Friends organization and read some poetry and maybe sing a poem.
The library. It looks like any building when you pass it on the street, made of stone and glass and marble, made of iron and concrete. But once inside, you can ride a camel or a train, visit Rome, Siam, or Nome, feel a hurricane, meet a king, learn to sing, how to bake a pie, go to sea, plant a tree, find how airplanes fly, train a horse, and of course, have all the dogs you'd like. See the moon, a sandy dune, or catch a whopping pike. Everything that books can bring, you'll find inside these walls. A world is there for you to share when adventure calls. You cannot tell its magic when you pass it on the street, by the way the building looks, but there's a wonderment within it, the wonderment of books. I have always loved books, and all the time I spent in school, particularly high school and college, I spent a lot of time in frustration because of the poor research facilities we had here. And I made a promise to myself that before I died, there would be a public library in my hometown. And so, imagine my surprise when I found out that in July of 1990, the town appointed a library board to help me with my cause. They didn't know that was the reason, but they did it. As an interested citizen, I sort of fell into the role as one of the first friends of the library, serving as chairman. We were organized in September of 1990, and in this 14 months' time, we have organized several fundraisers and have raised $3,568.11 from the movies, aluminum cans, bake sales, personal donations, and $558.49 of that came from the coin cans you see at the store, the post office, cafeteria, and things. So keep up with the coin donations. That's doing really well. The aluminum can drives are also very successful, and we have just begun to cash them in. To date, we have paid out $2,018.19 in books, Arizona State Library Association membership, expenses, and a trailer to store our aluminum cans in. All the funds collected from these fundraisers will be used to build book collections and provide shelving and care for the books in our library. Our monthly fundraisers include a movie and a bake sale on Friday and Saturday of the second weekend of each month. These are held at 2:00 p.m. at the school South Auditorium. We invite everyone to participate and support the library fund. December's fundraiser will be held on the third weekend instead of the second weekend. This month we will be featuring Charlotte's Web. We are hoping that everyone will turn out and support it. We accept donations of cash, bake sale items, books, and whatever anyone has to contribute to the library or the library fund. Currently, we have over 40 members of the Friends of the Library. Each of these people have been very active, donating their labor, their money, means, and most importantly, their time in helping organize these fundraisers, constructing and cleaning shelves, and overall support. We're working on programs for book restorations, cleaning, and maintenance. I'd like to take this time to personally thank each one of those people who have been so tremendously supportive. Could have never done anything without them. I'd also like to invite anyone who is interested to participate to become a friend of the library. We appreciate anyone who takes an active interest in the civic projects and community enhancement. We welcome any new ideas you have and support. The Friends will next meet on December 9th at the town office. Donna Barlow, the Vice Chairman of the Friends of the Library, Aunt Gwen, and I have just recently returned from a week-long seminar sponsored by the Arizona State Library Association. We came back very excited, full of ideas, and for future programs and activities. We also came back very grateful for the kind of people we have to work with here, the kind of people who don't give us a lot of problems when we try to start new programs. We have a lot of support from the community leaders. One activity we're sponsoring through the winter is a community writing project. Our goal is to bring out local talent, focus on local heritage, and enhance civic pride. We'd like everyone to participate. The different categories are poetry, any style, short story, and historical narrative essay. The deadline for turning these in is February 15th, 1992. The results will be published and prizes awarded to participants on National Library Week, April 6th through 11th. We will sell the book for additional fundraisers, and it will be placed on our library shelves.
Poetry? What kind of poetry?
Well, come around and I'll tell you. What is poetry? What is poetry? Who knows? Not the rose, but the scent of the rose. Not the sky, but the light of the sky. Not your eye, but the gleam in your eye. Not the sea, but the sound of the sea. Not myself, but what makes me. See, hear, and feel something that prose cannot. And what is it? Who knows? I am a poem.
I am a poem, crafted in wisdom, molded and scripted with skill and with plan, sculpted of ivory, textured expressions, upon recitation of God's loving care. Sweet inspiration brings comfort in desperation. Rhythm and rhyme in perfect accordance with God's own time. I am a poet, fanciful, rich with colors of infinite hue, woven of magical, lyrical genius, a soft flowing ballad as fresh as the dew. Sweet inspiration brings comfort in desperation, rhythm and rhyme in perfect accordance with God's own time. I am a poem, he is my rhythm and rhyme. I am a poem, he is my rhythm and rhyme. I am a poem, he is my rhythm and rhyme. I am a poem, and he is my rhythm. Oh, I am God's poem, I am his, and he is mine.
Donald Richter is the chairman of the library board, and Dennis Darger is the vice chairman. And we'll now ask Dennis to make some short remarks about the progress of our library project.
I'm happy to be here tonight. I'm sure glad I don't have to sing this. It's been a pleasure and a learning experience serving on the library board. The other day, in thinking what I could say, I was looking through our first subscription to the Arizona State Library Association newsletter, and there was 35 acronyms in that newsletter. And I started counting down through the ones that I knew what they meant. And there was only 10 of them that I knew what meant. And that gave me some indication of how much more I still have to learn. I think that's the case with all of us on the library board. There's so many things that we're trying to understand, and in getting the funding to provide a building and circulation of books. At the present time, we've gathered quite a few books from various libraries around the state, both Utah and Arizona. Utah, the Washington County Library has donated a law library collection and offered a medical collection. And I'm sure we'll have to do quite a bit of weeding on the books that have been donated up to this point. But we really can't do much until we have a facility to put them in. And so with Oliver's expertise in grant writing, we have applied and been accepted. We applied to I think it's the Heritage Foundation, and been accepted and granted money for the park around the old school building. It's a $20,000 grant, and we'll have to match that with $20,000, but that can come in labor and materials and other means. We have also received a grant for the historical restoration of the building, $4,000, which was short of what we were hoping for, but until the building can be put on the historical register, they wouldn't go any more than that. That's also matching funds. In addition to that, the Future Farmers of America organization, through the elementary, or through the high school, I should say, has applied for a BOAC grant of $3,000, and that is still pending. That money would be able to go toward the matching funds. So we're looking forward to trying to get this facility online by summer. It will take about $68,000 for the total project. And so we appreciate the efforts of the Friends Committee and all of those that are serving on the library board at this present time. And I would like to have them stand and give them a hand of recognition. If you do that, if you're here in the audience, if you just stand and so we could recognize your efforts. Those board members are, if you didn't see them, Donald Richter, Oliver Barlow, Cynthia Allred, Elaine Beislein, Eileen Jessup, and myself. And it's been a real special privilege to be able to work with such quality people. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. The 900 section is geography and history. You know, in books, you can travel vicariously. The high school chorus will show us how that is done. And then Ezra Nielsen will tell us how he did on his geography test.
New York is in North Carolina. Seattle is found in Peru. New Mexico borders on Norway and Italy. Quebec is a town in Hawaii. Boston's near Kalamazoo. Connecticut is found in Trest. Those are a few of the answers I wrote when I flunked the geography test.
And after you've been around the world and back, you realize that it is a small world after all. Before we dismiss for tonight, Uncle Fred has asked that we make a call for a work project tomorrow. We'll be working on Terrell Johnson's home, and on David Musser's home we need a large crew of able-bodied men. We need to be at the cafeteria at 7:30. The work is going to be outside, some of it will be cold, so dress warm and bring gloves to cover your willing hands. And also we'd like to have the cast come tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock to help clean up and remove the set. We thank you all for your wonderful performance. We'd like to have Valiant Barlow come up and dismiss our program with prayer. Our Father in heaven, performers, the entertainment we have. We're thankful for the good spirit that's been here. And we pray that you'll bless us now to return to our homes and be encouraged and recreated. We're thankful for the influence and the directions of thy servant, Mr. Rowland, to us as a people. We pray that we can support and sustain him. We provide for his needs. We pray that you'll bless United Effort Plan property and all the priesthood projects. Now we ask the blessing to be upon all thy saints and people. We ask for dismissal at this time in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.